I felt extremely overwhelmed by the amount of problems and issues covered by All of Us Are Dead, and I thought to myself, it's time to talk about it openly because to be really honest with you guys, I feel like it came to the point when we as fans of K-pop and K-drama romanticize South Korea to an unhealthy extent. We often have a very distorted image of what it's really like living in the country that many of us consider picture perfect because of our favorite K-dramas. Well, in today's video, I want to show you that it's not perfect and that we're all just made to believe that, and I will demonstrate that on the latest Netflix show, All of Us Are Dead. I'm gonna start right off with a topic that has been covered multiple times by the media because of how alarming this issue has been in the past few years. The talk is about secretly recording women in public spaces, usually filming inappropriate videos of them in the bathrooms or as they're walking up the stairs. Sometimes these recordings are even made on public transport and then they're posted online. When it comes to All of Us Are Dead, we're met with this recording crime in the first episode where Eunji is being forced to undress and be recorded under the threat of exposing her online. Of course, this isn't exactly a spy cam issue, but it's still an illegal recording and it points to a bigger problem. This inappropriate and illegal filming has been going on for years now, but last year in 2021, media from all around the world began to cover this topic in a bit more intense fashion. Countless media reports were made, whether it was BBC, The Guardian, or the New York Times, and even the Human Rights Watch spoke about how alarming this issue has become. The biggest outbreak of spy cam victims was addressed back in 2020 when the Burning Sun scandal and the Telegram Nth Room scandal left the Korean public outraged. According to the New York Times article, spy cams present a persistent, hidden threat that leaves many people wary, in particular women, who are the most common targets. The issue became so bad that the government assigned 8,000 employees to inspect more than 20,000 public restrooms in order to find all the hidden cameras. The spy cam videos are called morga, and once they're made, the creators spread them on online forums and share them mostly with men who are willing to pay, but sometimes these videos get freely posted on the internet and it can leave the victims' lives completely ruined. One of the victims of the former K-pop idol Jung Junyoung spoke up about the issue in an interview with BBC, and she revealed that when she was in school, there was no one who would listen and that she felt extremely lonely because of the struggle she was going through. Sound familiar? That was exactly what happened to Eunji in the show. But back to the victim of Young's crimes. In 2016, when she found enough courage in herself to go and file the police report against Junyoung, who secretly filmed her without her consent, she was met with a devastating response from the Korean police. In the interview with BBC, she said, "The police officer told me to rethink about reporting it. She said it was difficult to bring charges against a celebrity. The prosecutor then called me, not him, in for questioning. I was humiliated, intimidated, and I started wondering if I had actually filed a case against an innocent person." When she kept on being vocal about what Junyoung did to her, she became a victim of verbal attacks of not only her friends, but also people online. She stated, "My friends said that I was ruining Jung's life. No matter how much I suffered, the media talked about me all day. The whole country was talking about me. No one protected me." This issue was also a topic of research for Human Rights Watch, and in their official report, they stated that officials in the criminal legal system, most of whom are men, often seem to simply not understand or not accept that these are very serious crimes. Even more rampant revelation was when the report shared how the victims of these disgusting crimes are treated by the police. The women and girls targeted face major barriers to justice. Police often refuse to accept their complaints and behave in ways minimizing harm, blaming them, treating images insensitively, and engaging in inappropriate interrogation. Many celebrities have come forward in 2020 and spoken up about the crimes made against women, but it wasn't enough because the issue of illegally recording women is yet to be tackled. Now, I want to look at another problem that was widely discussed in All of Us Are Dead. The issue was ever present in the series, and what I'm referring to is the problem of bullying. There were so many characters that got harassed and badly treated by other students in the show that I was left once again utterly speechless and at some points really drained because the mistreatment was that bad. Whether it was the character of Eunji, Chol-soo, or Jin-soo, the bullying was so bad that it was hard not to pay more attention to it. Kim Byung-cheol's character of the professor found out about what was happening to his son only after Jin-soo tried to take his own life. We find out about this in episode 4, and then we're shown how the school tried to resolve this issue. There was a committee made, but every accuser denied being mistreated by the classmates because they were worried that they'd be hurt once again, and this time in a much worse way. The same thing happened to Eunji when she approached another teacher and he tried to put the guilt on her instead of dealing with the fact that she was harassed and hurt by her classmates. What really made me feel uneasy though was what Byung-cheol's character said. He said, "We live in a system of guilt," and those words on their own might be the biggest statement from the series. And even if you don't take anything else away from the show, that statement alone can wrap up the bullying culture of South Korea. The report made by the Ministry of Education of South Korea states that nearly 1 in 10 students at Korean primary and secondary schools has suffered from various forms of violence at the hands of their peers. However, this report is from 2012 and it says that 10% of respondents said they were or physically at least once in 2012. 10% is a big number when it comes to such a serious matter. Even though the Ministry of Education demanded the government to install cameras and hire additional staff for schools to prevent these things from occurring, it didn't really help. Based on the research conducted by Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, Korea's youth rate jumped nearly 50% from 6.4 to 9.4 per every 100,000 people in the past 10 years. The issue of mistreatment in schools is so bad that organizations all over the world are trying to help South Korea come up with new plans on how to deal with this huge problem. Understandably, this is not an easy job, but because of the peer pressure, mistreatment in schools and the expectations of children being perfect from an early age is making South Koreans suffer from various mental illnesses. According to foreignpolicy.com, the number of people in their 20s experiencing depression has nearly doubled over the past 5 years. Yet seeking therapy is difficult in a culture that sees it as a sign of weakness. Only 15.3% seek treatment. When looking into the spread of depression in South Korea, I checked a research report conducted by the Health Insurance Review and Assessment Service, and their numbers totally shocked me. The reason why is that the research concluded that, for those in their 20s, the increased rate stood at 97% from 2014 to 2018, while comparable numbers for teens jumped 78% to 42,535 from 23,885. As I've already hinted, bullying is not the only reason why students are becoming depressed or contemplating taking their own life. The unhealthy amount of studying is one of the reasons why students think about taking these drastic measures. That has been shown many times in popular K-dramas, for example in Sky Castle, which is literally based on the competitive behavior of students. The article from Asia One says that, according to the survey by National Youth Policy Institute, about 23.4% of Korean youth thought about committing in 2012. Concern about academic performance was the most dominant reason for 36.7% of respondents, following by family troubles in school for 23.7% and 7.6% respectively. While working on this video, I was really in total shock by the numbers that I was finding, and the research that was done into this issue is still ongoing, so you can imagine how alarming it is for those who live in South Korea. However, what shocked me the most in the series was the approach of the teachers and how reluctant they were when the students raised their concerns and shared that they're victims of mistreatment in school. I found an academic paper titled "How South Korean Teachers Handle an Incident of School Bullying." In the paper, the authors discuss that teachers have a high chance of preventing this kind of bad behavior based on how they're dealing with students. The authors claim that, given the impact of teacher behavior, the fact that teachers are frequently ineffective at recognizing or addressing peer victimization is a substantial concern. What they revealed, though, is something that will probably leave you speechless. According to their research, only 4% of teachers actually respond to bullying accusations, and that's not only in Korea, but internationally. Just thinking about that makes me feel so disappointed in the education system. The authors also shared that social exclusion is one of the biggest issues that kids face in schools in South Korea, and that was also visible in All of Us Are Dead. For example, when Na-young called Kyung-soo a wealthy because his family was on the welfare program. The authors of the paper claim that one of the biggest concerns in South Korea in this issue is a pervasive attitude among school administrators and teachers that bullying is not a significant problem. If we go back to the show, we can see how lost the students are when it comes to approaching adults. Namda talks about how even if the rescue team comes to save them, they won't be the first to be taken care of. She said that, "We're just not important enough for that. We're students, that's it." And it was basically a follow-up on Korean values, and what they were hinting at was that in South Korea, not every person has the same value, and that your age plays a huge role in this. I mean, if you look at the basic traditions and formalities in Korea, everything in their everyday life depends on how old they are. You need to address people differently based on their gender and age, you need to bow down to people, and you need to treat elders with a lot of respect. Of course, treating the elderly with respect is a must, but while doing that, the lives of teenagers or of young adults shouldn't be disrespected or devalued. The life of a student holds the same value as a life of a senior. Before I finish this video off, let me just briefly share a few words about the lack of education in the country. If you watched the show, in episode 3, one of the female students gives birth to a baby. At first, she abandons the baby in the public restroom, but then she comes back for it. This topic alone was discussed in various studies, and the situation in Korea was so bad that the United Nations publicly urged South Korea to improve their education about intercourse and physical contact among students. The Guardian and Korean Herald actually managed to obtain guidelines that were put into practice, and let me just say that the guidelines for educating students on this serious matter are straight up ridiculous. Not only that, but the rules for educating students in this sensitive area are misogynistic. Kim Sung-ae, who is a high school teacher, publicly criticized the curriculum and said that the guidelines are forcing students to be female or male according to the standards the government came up with. These guidelines are especially wrong in terms of punishing young offenders. Male students who harass their female classmates are usually forgiven because their parents and authorities in school claim that it's natural for young men to have these urges, therefore they don't see the need to punish them. Such attitudes make more teenagers believe that they can get away with their crimes because the authorities won't hold them accountable. And this exact issue was presented in the series when the victims didn't receive any justice because either the teachers or other authorities ignored the fact that they were harassed. Don't get me wrong, I love K-dramas and K-pop. It's something that brings comfort and peace into my life. However, we cannot ignore these alarming issues anymore, and it's time to be vocal about it. After I watched All of Us Are Dead, I had the need to go and search for more information, so this video is the result of that. Although the show is getting mixed reviews, I believe it dealt with problems that not every Korean show dares to talk about, and that's why I enjoyed it so much. I hope you found today's video enjoyable to some extent, and I apologize for how dark this topic might seem, but it's real life, the reality of how South Korea looks right now. Share your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching. Bye!